Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am just thrilled tonight to be here with the first episode of Safe Space Conversations via the Evolving Woman platform. For those of you who may not know who I am Coach Duquesa Dean, and I help women evolve from the place that they are by helping them to identify where it is that they want to be or the future that they would like to live and helping them get from point A to point B. The Evolving Woman platform is designed to help support the modern woman through every transition and every season of her life, which is why I'm thrilled for us to have safe space conversations tonight. Safe space conversations provide a avenue for women to share their stories. You would be so amazed to know that what we believe is isolated to us is actually very common among us. And when we're able to listen to the stories of other people, we not only see ourselves in it, but we also begin to identify best practices from those people that perhaps we can implement in our lives so that we can continue to grow, to improve, and to journey through some of those similar situations a bit more successfully. And so tonight, I'm extremely happy to sit and have this conversation with an amazing woman. Like all of my women are amazing, right? But Stephanie is an amazing woman with tremendous courage, resiliency, and focus. And so tonight, I invite Stephanie to join our conversation. Welcome to Safe Space Conversation, Stephanie. You look so beautiful tonight with that bright
Yeah.
smile. We welcome you to Safe Space Conversations. Now, before we even get into our conversation, because I know we have so much to talk about tonight, right? Our
Sure.
listening audience, I want to ask you to go grab your tissue, go grab your hanky, go get something to help you wipe those tears if you feel the sensation to cry tonight, okay? Hi, Paulette. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate your support. But Stephanie, welcome to Safe Space Conversations. Now, before we get into our conversation, please just tell our viewing audience who you are.
Well, I'm Stephanie McGregor. I am a mama. I love God. I'm goofy. I'm very creative. I love fried chicken. Even though it's not good for you, I love fried chicken. Food in general is just me. That's just me. I am a person. I love to read. I really really do love to read, and I like to try new things. And I am a lover of life. That's who I am.
Not fried chicken, though, Stephanie.
I know you was gonna say
Yes. Now, do you have a secret recipe for this fried chicken, or is any fried
no.
chicken perfect?
Any fried chicken. My mom makes one of the best fried chicken in the entire world. I can't do it, but I love my mom fried chicken. My mom fried chicken is really really good. It's not good for me, but I love it.
Well, indulging every now and then is not a bad thing,
Yeah,
you
it
know. So, yeah, and you are indeed a bubbly person, a beautiful smile, a bright light. You're always so joyous. One of the things that I know personally about you is that you find the positive in situations. Like you
Thank
tend
you.
to look for the positive, to look for the lesson, to stay focused. And even if you have a moment where you're in a place of why did that happen, as you process it and think about it, you think about it from a godly perspective and you come out with lessons that help you to move forward in life a bit more successfully. So I want to congratulate you for that
Thank
because
you. I
not
appreciate
everyone has the capacity to do that. Being positive at all times is a discipline. It takes intention and it takes a lot of practice. Hey, Tisha, good night. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. So, Stephanie, You are on Safe Space Conversations tonight. And Paulette is saying that Stephanie is also very supportive and motivational. Absolutely,
Thank
Stephanie.
you,
Look,
Paula.
you people know you. People know you. So, I came to know you at a time when you were here living in the Bahamas, and we both know that you are originally from Jamaica. Tell us about life in Jamaica. I'd love to hear about life in Jamaica. What was life like?
Oh my God, life in Jamaica was really, really good for me. I grew up with my grandparents, which is Lois and Ashburn Erskine. So actually, they're my great grandparents, but I call them my grandmother. And they were the person that taught me how to love and serve people. And I remember one thing I love about my grandfather is that every holiday I used to have to go in the field and pick coffee. I used to be the coffee picker and did not get paid. But it was one of my favorite things to do. I really do. And I able to have fruits and all that stuff. It was a very, very, it has little trials, but it was a very good childhood. And one of my things, I learned to love to read. Growing up with my grandparents, I have a very funny story. So there was a boy I like. I don't know what's the name of the boy. I liked that boy, and my grandparents were strict because my grandfather is a pastor. And so I told this boy we're gonna meet at the mobile library, and we said, okay, that's so we make a date and we're gonna meet at the mobile library. I went to the mobile library. I don't remember who the boy is, but I know I went and I got books from the library, and I was like, oh my God, I fell in love with books. That's why I fell in love with Hardy Boys, Bob's the Twins, and all those books. I love mystery. I'm a very, very good love to read mystery books, and that's where the love of reading started for me. Then I studied community college. I also did some journalism. Guess what? I wanted to become a journalist. I never told anybody that before, but I wanted to become a journalist. I did some courses in journalism, which was really, I did very well in it too. And then on January 20, 20 January 22nd, 1996, my world changed. I had my son Aliko Collins, and then it was like little struggle there, and then we move on into doing different things, and then I changed and wanted to become a pharmacist, and I still was trying to pursue that, and then things happened, and then we moved.
Okay, very interesting. A journalist.
Yeah, I never shared that with anybody
No, that's really interesting though. And it ties into your love of books, right? So
before.
you
Goodness,
love to read.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah, so it ties into your love of book. Now, I'm a coffee girl. But let me don't say I'm a coffee girl because really I only get up one cup of coffee a day. But I'm a coffee girl, and so I love my good cup of coffee in the morning. So were you picking Blue Mountain coffee when
Yeah,
you were
I don't know who we were picking it for, but I know every year, every summer, my grandfather would send me in the fields to help pick coffee, but he would not pay me. I was free labor. But I love doing it because then not only that, but I was able to work with older women who was able to bring the roots of the culture and everything to me there, and taught me wisdom. One thing about those women that serve in those areas is that they taught me how to serve. That is one of the things that they gave without nothing in return. If the coffee, if they should probably get off at 5. Their work ethics was really great. They were on time. They didn't leave. Be like, okay, it was 5 o'clock. Let me hurry up and leave. No, their work ethic, even though they were picking coffee, but I learned a lot from in those stages, the early life, with those women.
sounds like it was a really valuable
It
experience.
was. It was.
Yes. And then in 1996,
Yes.
Aliko came along.
And
At
leave
what
him
point,
alone.
yeah, at what point in your journey as a parent you thought that I want to move to the Bahamas? And tell us why.
To be honest, the struggle came because I was just trying to make ends meet, and being in Jamaica, it was just not working out for me in terms of, even though it's a great country, it was just not, I was just not able to do it. So I thought of, I want a better life. I wanted to see if I could help my son, and I decided to move to the Bahamas, and that's how we got to the Bahamas.
So tell us about that journey or when you left Jamaica, you came to the Bahamas. Tell us about how you got started living in the Bahamas. Tell us some of the things that you did. Let's hear a little bit about your life when you arrived here in the Bahamas.
Okay, I'm still safe, but when I got when I got to the Bahamas, I wasn't safe as yet. I was in a backsliding stage, but I came to the party scene. I came to the party scene, and I was just all about trying to get to party and all that, because you're young and you're trying to do all of that. But I realized that after a while, I realized that this the party scene is not the safest place for me. So I started to do things a little bit different. The transition moving, I didn't know anyone. The family that we came with, I think they moved away, and I didn't know anyone at all. And we end up meeting. So God is so good. I met this girl one day before I came to the Bahamas. One day before I came to Bahamas the Thursday. I met her the Wednesday, and she lived in the Bahamas. My friend saw her and she said, "Do you still live in the Bahamas?" And she said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, my friend is coming to the Bahamas tomorrow." She gave me her number. So when I realized that, okay, I know anyone, and I started to feel nervous being there by myself, I called her. And, I called her and she was like, I told her, I said, I'm here and I'm by myself and I don't know anyone. And I feel a little bit nervous just being here by myself. And she came and she got me and she started to show me the ropes. She started making sure I know everything and how to be safe while I was there. And that is how the transition for me happened. Thank you, Debbie, wherever you are.
Yes, Debbie, thank you so much. What was it about the Bahamas? What was it about the Bahamas that attracted you?
Apart from the comforters,
Yes.
it reminded me of home. The culture reminded me of home. The Jamaican culture reminded me of that. I mean, the Bahamian people, they were warm, they were friendly. I love the water, the blue. The only thing I thought was missing from the Bahamas was mangoes. If mango,
Okay.
I'd be make it totally perfect. I mean, our mangoes. I mean, the variety of mangoes. You do have mangoes, but it was just like I met some people that welcome me. But when you're one of them too, that welcome me and let me feel safe, let me feel loved, let me feel like okay, I'm a part of a family, even though we were not blood family, and that was what it was for me.
Okay, good. Now, yes, we know each other for many years.
Yeah,
Our relationship stems back maybe even 15 years. I don't even know how long,
twenty
right?
something years.
Yes, but I do remember we worked together for quite some time. And I want to talk about that for a few minutes because when we worked together, it was a shift job. And so there were various shifts that you would come to work for. And you'd come to work, you'd show up, you were diligent in your duties, you were positive. And I at that time had no idea that there were so many struggles happening behind the scene after you'd moved to the Bahamas,
Right,
gotten married to found a dude, gotten married to this dude, and then there was a lot of things happening behind the scenes that we were not aware of. And so
right,
as I start to listen to you talk about your story, I heard you share things with me like walking home from work, not having transportation, being pregnant and not really being supported as a pregnant mother. There was a lot of uncertainty. I want to talk through that for a few minutes. Help us to understand after moving to the land of milk and honey, the Bahamas, you were faced with disappointments in a relationship that eventually led to a marriage that resulted in abuse. Tell us about that. Let's hear how you were able to survive in that climate, and then we'll pick the conversation up from there.
well, one of the thing in I think in our black culture that we teach our this gen I mean my generation is that you no matter what is going on at home, you don't share it with anybody. And for me personally, I think if I had said something, I think I could have gotten the help that I needed. And so I thought it was because we were taught everything you keep in your belly, don't say anything. And coming, working with you, you actually hired me. You're the one who hired me. We got an interview with you, and you hired me. And it was, I know in my head I wanted to have a better life for my son. So I just like, okay, I don't care what anybody said about me, because people were making fun of me of not having my husband picking me up from work. And as you know, in the Bahamas, after 7 there is no bus system, there's no bus to take them, so you have to catch a ride over. And where we work at the time, it was a bridge situation, so there's nothing to go over if you don't have a ride. So you had to set. So I, like, at 11 o'clock at night, I used to just stand there and try to catch a ride with somebody that was going my way. And sometimes persons from work will give me a ride, and sometimes persons, would just pass you. And if somebody know you well, they will give you a ride. And it was very hard for me to do that, even while I was pregnant. And I remember a friend of mine, I won't call his name here, but he used to have to leave his house in the morning and come and pick me up at home while my husband was at home, and take me to work. And then we always try to work on the same shift so that we could able to catch a ride back and forth, so I wouldn't have to be standing, being pregnant with my big belly out there. And I remember when he got promoted and he moved on to another department, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to manage? And I had to cope. I had to try to survive. I was always in a survival mood. And so I was always have to do things just to try to get person, I could catch a ride. I try to make friends with people that live the area that I live in, so I could catch a ride with them. Sometimes I have to wait after, I get off at a certain time. They might get off a little later. Sometimes I have to stay around for like 2 hours, to get a ride, or I have to come early in the morning to get a ride, just to make sure I don't have to stand up to go over the bridge, because it was really a hassle to do so.
But that's a lot to handle, particularly as a pregnant woman, and also in recognition of the fact that you came to the Bahamas in search of a better life, and here it is, you're in this marriage with someone who's totally left you alone, basically, to get to and from work, who was very controlling, who actually, just also controlled your money. So you were not only isolated, you were limited in what you could do because of the resources. And so, as a result of that, Stephanie, you had your son, and
My favorite human.
yeah, yes, you had to carry,
Yes.
and life became even more difficult. I want to talk through now because, like Sharice is saying, we have been given so much bad advice. We have been told that what happens in the house stays in the house, and we're not supposed to air our dirty laundry. We're not supposed to share, and it's for that reason that so many women who are in domestic and abusive relationships feel shame.
Yes.
They feel ashamed, they hide it, they don't want other people to know, and so they remain trapped in those situations for years to come. Now, I want to take our conversation just a little bit deeper, because when you came to the Bahamas, you came with your son to give him a better way of life, right? You came to work hard, to be smart, to create a future for yourself and for your oldest son at that particular point in time. I mean, that was the whole reason in coming.
Right.
You met a man who was one way and switched another way after you got married. And so you really existed in survival for many years. What were some of the emotions that you felt as you were surviving? What were some of the things that you grappled with regarding living in survival? And did you ever think that it was the wrong decision to make?
One of the thing I think I did the most, and to say this publicly, but I prayed a lot for God to take my life. I didn't want to commit suicide, but I prayed. I would beg him. I said, if you killed me, it would be so much easier. At least I could repent and, I'll be with you. And it was very difficult going through that. The abuse didn't only affect me.
So we're going to give Stephanie just a moment to come back in. I'm assuming there was a challenge with her internet. So we're going to go ahead and give her a moment to rejoin our broadcast today. And as she is rejoining the broadcast, I want to just ask you to share in comments what you feel about our conversation so far. Stephanie shared that she was a coffee picker. Perhaps you want to share what was your favorite, or what is your favorite coffee? If anything that Stephanie has shared so far as it relates to leaving one situation in hopes of finding another situation that would be better for you resonates with you or someone that you know, please share with us so that Stephanie is also aware that she is not alone, that many of us have had situations where we got really strong lessons from, that we were able to use those lessons to create a better life for us eventually and in the future. Because Stephanie is not the only woman in this world who has gone through domestic abuse or who has been in an abusive relationship. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in a marriage. And I see Serene is saying that she completely understands living in survival mode. And Serene, I just want to say that so many of us women live in survival mode. Sometimes we don't even know that we're in survival. Like we just automatically do what we need to do to get through the day or get through the next day. Absolutely. And so, Stephanie, I see you're giving Stephanie some kudos, awesome testimony. And Patrice or Patasha is saying, yes, Paulette, I see you saying Blue Mountain coffee is the best coffee. Um, Blondie, yes, I feel her pain too. Her story is a powerful testimony, Cherise, which is why I believe we're having these technical difficulties right at the moment. But we're going to allow Stephanie a few moments to rejoin the conversation. And the truth is, Patasha, that there are so many women who won't speak about what they've gone through because of fear. And I want to appeal to women. I want to really make that appeal to women and help them to understand that their stories are not just for them. They're lessons they've gotten from those situations are not just for them. I mean, if you're biblical, if you're religious, if you are a believer, when you go to the book of Titus, Titus instructs the older women, the mature women, to tutor the younger women. And so that's why we need mature women to share their stories so that the younger women understand how not to make mistakes, to mentor those women so that they understand that life is not just a bed of roses. There will be hills and there will be valleys, and help them understand how to navigate each one of those valley experiences. And yes, Cherise, I understand that you lived in that mode when you had your children. I'm so grateful for the transparency that you ladies are showing tonight. Francis, you're still trying to overcome survival, but you're learning one day, one step at a time. I celebrate you today, Francis. That's all it takes. And I have a Facebook user who is saying that our society teaches us to protect our abusers. And we're going to talk about that shortly as well. Thank you so much for that. So Stephanie, welcome back. You know, you're the devil busy tonight. So we're going to talk now. I want you to pick it up now. I want you to pick this conversation up and continue to share with us some of those emotions, some of the disappointment, some of the heartbreak that you experienced.
One of the heartbreaks that I experienced the most was body image. I, apart from trying to take my life, I thought if I had a big butt, if I had a Coca-Cola bottle shape, I would be loved. I would be so loved more than anything else in the world. And I would be I would able to please this person. And some of the emotions, like some of the emotions that I sometimes I will feel joy, sometimes I'll feel sadness, sometimes I feel loneliness, but I battle mostly with depression and with the self image and low self esteem. Low self esteem was like to me it was like a drinking buddy for me. I couldn't see myself. I could not see myself beautiful. No matter how somebody will say you're beautiful, I could not see it. No matter how somebody would say, "Oh my God, you are so talented," I could not see it. And I just try my best to say, what could I do so that I could be able to be good? I just want to be good. How can I be good? And I did everything in my power just trying to be good. And that was one of the struggle that nobody can make you be good. And I didn't realize until I left the relationship, because I thought I had to be good for this particular person, but not realizing that I need to be good for God. If I knew what I know now, that I am good despite of whatever is happening to me, I think I would have been able to, some of the things that I went through, I wouldn't have gone through it. But I learned it over the years by just dealing with all those trauma that I went through, that I was already good. When he created me, I was already good. That's what he said. But I didn't understand, because we have been listening to things that like, back in the day, it was like, well, make sure you cook for your husband, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. And so in your mind, our good was all about the things that we do, and not knowing that who we are, where we were already good. Your good is not based on your what you can do, but based on who you are. You're already good. And so I wish those are some of the things I wish we were taught, that hey, you're already good. You're already good. It's not about the things that I did. I
Yeah.
still would like the Coca-Cola bottle shape though.
Yes. 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 Stephanie, that's so powerful because it's our sense of self worth
Yeah.
that helps the abuser to keep their hold on us, right? Because let's just be fair, let's just be straight up, and let's just be honest. Any woman who has been in an abusive relationship will tell you it's not just as easy as walking out the door. Sometimes women who've never been in an abusive relationship will say, well, why didn't you just leave? And it's not as simple as just walking out the door. There are so many emotional and mental battles that you have to face as it relates to leaving that relationship. And sometimes we just stay trapped in that relationship. Now, Stephanie, I want to take you just a little deeper in that conversation because, when you talk about your self worth and you talk about not feeling loved and wanting that sense of belonging, and yes, we have been brainwashed as women that we must, uh, you know, get good grades in school, find a good husband, take care of our husbands, have a family. We're never taught the lesson of learning to love ourselves first. And it's from the place of loving ourselves that we begin to love everyone else. Because how can you love a husband if you can't love yourself? How can you love a child if you can't love yourself?
Yeah.
And so the first lessons that we should be taught are lessons about self-love, self-care, so that when we exist in those spaces, we are now then able to extend that love to other people. But when we come from a place of insufficiency inside of us and the voids that are inside of us, and that we look to men to fill because we want to be loved, we want to be accepted. And yes, Patasha, you can't just walk out of bondage. And so the desire to have that love, and because we have this one person who is in our life that represents love, we don't want to lose that, even though they are abusing us, right? So I want to talk to you now, Stephanie, about Aliko in this uh in this relationship, because you came to the Bahamas in search of a better life, not just for you, but for your son. And from what you've shared with us so far, you came here, you met somebody, he was an okay person, you married him, He kind of switched on you after marriage. You basically had to fend for yourself, and then there was Aliko. Now, for safety, there were some things that you encouraged Aliko to do. Can we talk a little bit about those things, please?
Okay, so as if you know me, Alika was my first son, my only love at the time when I had him. Um, One of the things that in that relationship, the abuse didn't only happened to me; it happened to Aliko, and the I did not know, as you said, like it's about leaving. I was like, I should leave, but I didn't know how to leave. And it affected Aliko so bad that he started to do bad at school, like really, really bad at school. And one of the stories I wanted to share was when there was one day, I don't know what happened that morning, and he got up and he got angry. And the anger, he was like, I'm going to pick up your report card. And if your report card is not good, this is what I'm going to do. And I can't repeat what he said he was going to do. And so when he went to the car, I told Aliko, I said, Aliko, go by one of my friends. She was living up the top of the road. I said, do not return to the house until I come and get you. I will go with him to the school and I will try to get it, hash it down, and then I'll come and get you when it's safe. And so when we drove out, Alika left, and he didn't see that Alika left, but I knew Alika left. We went to the school and we picked up the report card, and Alika report card was 0.94. And I was like, oh my God, I knew what was going to happen. And he was like, I'm going to post this all up on the entire live post in our neighborhood, and everybody's going to know what dumb he is. And he carried on all the way until we got home. And he was like calling for Alika, but Alika wasn't there. And I tried everything I could to get him calm down. I didn't get him calm until like nightfall. And this was like in the morning. And finally he was calm. And I went and I got Liko. And that was the story of our life, that we had to constantly hide him because the abuse used to come to him really severe, so severe that I did not know later on that Haliko battled with suicide too, because he could not understand what did he do to cause this on him. And it was very hard because I even I went and I got Elika tested to see, like, probably something, he's not functioning properly in school. So probably I was just like, it was just psychological. Didn't realize I was just because of the hostile environment that we were in that was causing all of this. That's how he wasn't performing at school. And I just could not reach him. I tried to bribe him to. I tried to say, I'll give you money. I'll buy you a drum set. I'll buy you games. I'll do whatever I can to get you to function. But he was not able to overcome the abuse. He had to watch me get abused, and he had to go through it himself. So he just couldn't. And then again, here I go again with what I have learned. I don't care if it's Jesus who asks you. You don't tell anybody what's going on at home. And there we go, we hide it again. So he had to carry that burden, that shame, that all of that on him at this age, because he can't tell anybody, because my mom said not to tell anybody. And so he bore that. And that's a hard burden for a child to carry. That was a lot of responsibility that he shouldn't have to deal with.
Yes, absolutely. So it sounds like um, Aliko was not really accepted. Did this behavior start after the birth of Zakari, or was this always happening?
Before the first Alika came here the Friday. My mom brought him the Friday. And when she brought him, and when my mom, Alika's never lived with anybody else apart from us. And here I go introduce this, like, call this person daddy. And I remember when my mom left, Alika came in the room and he started crying. He missed my mom and he was like, he didn't know what to do. And I remember he's like, get out of my room, get out of her lap, leave her alone. And two of us didn't know what to do. He just got up and just walked out of the room. I couldn't hug him, I couldn't console him. And as a mother, that should not that is a responsibility that should have not been taken away from me. I really think, and I I try to brush it off and like, okay, it's just it's new for everybody, but that was a first sign that this was not the thing that we should you know go that it wasn't going to go good at all.
Right. Wow. Wow, that's so heartbreaking that a child and your biological child would not be accepted by the man that you have pledged to honor and to build a life with. So he did not find safety, which, as you say, would have caused some brokenness. And so, was this like an everyday occurrence that Aliko had to stay away from home to avoid being abused?
Yeah, Alika had to stay away a lot. um and that those are some of the things that really I know the story that really hurt me the most, because I could have created more memories with him, and some of those memories are I wasn't able to because he couldn't stay there. Only time he stays there if I'm there. If I'm there, and sometimes I would try my best to protect him from it, but it will get worse if I intervene.
Wow. 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 So Aliko stayed away from home a lot,
And this was it, yeah,
just for him to be safe.
just for him to be
And
safe.
this certainly was not the better life that you had looked for you and for your son.
You know,
And so tell us now, Stephanie, through all of this, you're struggling, you're in survival mode, you're getting yourself to and from work, you're performing in with great ethics. Like it's not as if your work is slipping because no one at work knew that
you
you were going through these experiences. And so
know,
you put a brave face on every day in spite of those heartbreaking situations. And then your son could not have a home. And I want you to know that there's no judgment here because as women, so many of us make similar mistakes, right? So many of us, because we desire something, we our eyes are not open to what's happening and how it's impacting other people. And then there are times when we just can't do anything when the situation is just so out of control. You are a foreigner in the land of your husband. You were hoping for citizenship. You had given birth to another child. You wanted both of your children together. And so it indeed was a difficult situation. And so, as a result of Aliko not finding safety at home, he spent a lot of time away from home,
he did.
which, in your opinion, led to what? What, like,
Well, he started drinking at an early age. Alika started probably drinking like at 13. And I didn't realize how bad the drinking is until one night he started to throw up. Because he was so drunk, he started to throw up. And I think, he wasn't able, he could understand the not being loved. Because I think for me, I think he even felt like I wasn't even there for him. Because in my head, I'm thinking if I work hard at work, as you said, the good work ethics, I'll be able to get a promotion, I'll be able to bring more money home, and then the abuse will stop. Because when there was no money in the home, the abuse would be hot, really, really bad. So I used to do like 15 hours, so I wasn't there. So when he's at work and I'm at work for all those hours, and Aliko's home or Aliko's staying with his brother, then here he goes like, oh, she doesn't care. as a mom. So it led to him searching for that acceptance, searching for, I just need to find that love. And he found it in a bottle.
Okay.
That's where he did. He found it in a bottle.
Wow. Wow.
In a
That's
bottle.
just powerful. As you're watching and listening to Stephanie's story today, please drop in the comments some encouragement, drop in the comments some words of wisdom for her, because this is a walk through memory lane that I'm certain is difficult for her in this moment. And we're going to get just a little bit deeper into this conversation now. We're navigating into real deep territory because Stephanie, you lost your son.
Yeah.
You came to the Bahamas in search of a better life for you and your son. And what it resulted in is you losing your son. Talk us through that.
My entire world changed on February 8th at 4:30. The the February 7th was one of the happiest day. I landed one of the biggest contract with our program and everything like that, and I was so happy. I remember I came home and I told him, and he was like, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know," but they said yes, and I was super excited. And I left and I went to work, and he went to work. I wasn't feeling well, and I came home early. I came home early, and when I came home early, he came. When I came home, something was wrong with my computer, and when he came back from work, I was like, "Aliko, my computer is not working, and can you fix it for me?" And he fixed it, and I was like, "Thank you, Aliko." And he's like, "That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for." And I was like, "Okay," because he's always goofy. And he was like, "I can't find my charger, mommy." And I was like, "Your charger is on the the top of the fridge." He took it, charged it, and said, "Thank you, mommy." And and he said, "I'm coming right back." So I was going out with friends. I'm coming right back. That was like about 12:30 a.m. on February 8th. And he's like, "Okay, I'm coming right back." So okay, no problem. At 4 o'clock or 4:15 thereabout, I felt like I was having a heart attack. And we are CPR and first aid trained, so I was like, okay, a heart attack doesn't happen inside your heart; it's from your arm. So I was like, I talked myself through it. I was like, okay, this is not a heart attack, there's something going on. And I was like, oh my God, Aliko's not here. And if Aliko was here, then you could take me to the hospital because I don't know what it is. So I had to talk myself out of it, saying, You're not having a heart attack. You're not having a heart attack." And then I heard the voice of the Lord said to me, "I will never leave you nor forsake you. I will never leave you nor forsake you." He said it twice. And I was between wake and sleep when I heard it. And I was like, okay. I went back to bed. Everything just stopped. And I went back to bed. At 7 o'clock, I get up to get the car ready. And it's a norm for Lika, if he go partying, he coming back late. So either he's there or he's not there. I'm not sure. Usually don't check on him to see if he's there. And at 7 o'clock, I heard somebody walking in the yard, and they went to the next door. And then when they went to the next door, I heard her ask for Lika's mom. And then, she came to my door and she knocked on the door. She said, "Alika, mom is there." I said, "I'm Alika's mom." And she just stood at the window. I look at her at the window, and she just said, "Alika is dead." I just started to scream. I just started to scream. I didn't scream that he died. I screamed because I said, "God, you promised me you were going to save him. You promised me this." I, I, I think I cried for the death of Alika like probably months after. my turmoil with the whole thing was his soul. And I mean, my entire world changed that day. I just couldn't understand how this happened. How did my son die? I still don't know what happened to Aliko that morning. I've still not gotten closure from that, where I know what happened to him. All I know is my son got a fatal shot, one shot, and he died. And it was the most traumatic thing. It still is. I still cry. I still feel pain with it. I cry so much sometimes that my even my bones hurt. The pain of losing a child. And for me, it was not only even losing him. I wanted to make it right to him, because by then we came out of that abusive situation, and I wanted to make it right. That wasn't always in my head. I wanted to make it right. One of the things I'm really happy God gave me an opportunity to do was to tell him I'm sorry. I was I was able I was able to tell him I'm sorry. I told him I'm so sorry what I put him through. I'm so sorry that I allowed him to go through all of that, even though he was like, Mommy, it's okay. It's fine. But if I'm not thankful for anything else, I am thankful that I was able to tell him how sorry I am of what he experienced growing up for 10 years, living in the Bahamas in that situation. So that is how, the whole end of it, after 15 months after running from that marriage, then I lost my son. And it's the most painful thing for me, but it also is the most where I've seen God the most. I've seen him in so many different ways through it. I'm not telling you this is one of the easiest thing, but I've seen where he's really come true. He's really shown me that, listen, I will never leave you nor forsake you. That words have come for me to life in so many ways over the past 5 years of losing my son.
Wow, Stephanie. Wow. You've touched so many of us. I see Paulette has put hugs in the chat for you. Um, I see there's a comment that you did the best that you could with the tools that you had. Francis is saying that she loves you. Um, Blondie is saying that he knew you loved him, but he realized he could not protect you the way that he should. And so we feel your grief, and we understand the in the theory, right? Well, how do you say it? Anyway, y'all know what I'm trying to say. In theory, we understand um, what it could feel like, but unless you have actually experienced grief, there's no way to relate, truly relate. Like people say things like, how long are you going to grieve? Get over it. It's been X amount of years now. The reality is, grief never leaves. We
Never
learn to
leaves.
carry it better, but it never leaves. And then when there are circumstances like you explain, it makes it even more difficult. If there's a woman listening now who has children in a domestically challenged relationship or marriage, what would you say to her? How would you use your valley experience to help her in this moment?
First of all, I will tell that person it's not your fault. There is nothing. You can't earn enough money. You can you can't dress better. You can't do anything to make that person love or want to be with you. Because the thing is that it's something within them that they're struggling with. And I find someone to talk to help you to get out, and get out as quickly as possible. You might think that, one of the things I must say about my ex-husband is that he never hurt his child. never laid their hands on him, but it affected him really bad. It affected him that the car could not, if somebody's shouting, he covers ears. He would have panic attacks. So you might say, the person is not, the kids are, they're fine, because they're not hitting the child. The person's not hitting the child, but a hostile environment is not the perfect thing for a child to grow up in. And get out as quickly. Find somebody to help you to get out. Some make it out alive. Yes, I was one of them that make it out alive. But many don't make it out alive. Many lost their lives in it. Many have nervous breakdown, and it plays on you. And one of the things is that, we as women, will I ever find anybody? I've not dated anybody in 7 years. I'm not even as much as going for a coffee. It does affect me. Sometimes they say I'm online, it does. But guess what? It's better to be alone and to be happy and be in the right mind than to say, I will never find somebody else. So might as well I just bear with it. Get out as quickly. Find the nearest domestic shelter. Find somebody, a pastor, somebody, and let them help you get out. Get out and get the help you need.
Wow, such powerful advice, Stephanie. And it's such powerful advice coming from someone who not only endured physical abuse, but emotional abuse, mental abuse, someone who has paid the ultimate price, for being in that. So, with the experience of what you've gone through, and the reality is that, um, you know, you did your best, and what you thought was protection, you did whatever you could to try to make the situation better. And now recognizing that it's not something that any woman should go through alone. We need support. We need women to share, and so that advice uh to keep what's happening in the home is something that we need to
You
throw
know,
away. Yes, because if
throw
you're being abused, if someone is knocking you, if somebody is mentally abusing you, emotionally abusing you, have a trusted partner. That's great advice, Stephanie. Thank you so much. Blondie is saying that you are you are strong. Remember, God loves you and He will never forsake you. Amela or Amelia is saying that's really good sound advice. Now, we're coming to the end of our interview, Stephanie, and so I want to talk now about legacy, because as we mourn people that we love, many of us, including myself, find ways that we can carry their legacy, right? So when my mom passed away, carrying her legacy is through the cancer support group, and still doing that work with cancer. But you have found a way to continue to honor Aliko's memory. You found a way to keep him alive. And by doing that, you're also keeping yourself alive. So
keep
tell
yourself
us
safe.
about what you do to honor Aliko.
Okay, so I started connection to creativity. Well, before Alika passed away, I started connection to creativity because as I said, he struggled with reading. And by accident, I found out that if I tie music with reading, Alika loves that. And then that is how connection to creativity started. So when he passed away, I was like, I'm making my mission to make sure kids see the value in reading and realize that reading can give them a sense of escape of out of any environment they're in. Because when have you ever read a book, and when you're reading the book, it's like you're walking through the entire place, and the smell, the way it looks. So even if your environment is not so good, but because you're so indulged in that book, it takes you to that place. So we've created connection to creativity activity, different activities that we do. It's all about promoting to read in a fun way for kids. is so that kids can see the value of reading, because every child is different. Every child learns differently. Every child experiences things differently. Alika struggled with reading. The Dakari didn't struggle with reading. Aliko is very creative. The car is just like all the academics child. So everybody learns different, but you have to find different ways to get them in reading, and that's how connection to what one of some of the things that connection to creativity does. So we have created a program like Cuddle and Read, and Cuddle and Read program is where we use a stuffed animal. It's my little giraffe right here. And when you go to school, we give them a stuffed animal, we'll give them a book, and we also bring authors in, and we create a whole cut and read musical special just for them. It's all about entertaining them, and also promotes reading. And when they go home, they can see the value in reading, because we try to do it through music, so that when they get there, they were like, that song was stuck in their head. So even if they're having a bad day, that hopefully that song was just being repeated in their head. We also created novel and novella activity kit. And novella activity kit is one of the things that we do. Novel and novella is our mascot, is our company mascot, and it's two twins that come together, which means story and novel, and they combine together, and they create this enormous emotion in terms of helping kids see the value of reading through different activities. So we create activity sheets just for them through that program, and we also one of the things that we do with our novel and novella kit is that when you purchase one of our novel and novella kits, I hope you can see it, we also donate another kit to children that are in domestic shelters, domestic transitioning from that from either from the home going into somewhere else. One of the reasons why we started this, when the Lord gave me this to do, I didn't understand at first, and he told me, he's like, you went through it, you didn't have any help, you didn't have any support, and it wasn't like it wasn't there, but there wasn't anything to give children that are going. Every attention was for me, to get me safe, to get me help, but nothing was there for the kids. And the novella Hearts of Treasure, what it does is that when you, as I said, you get one of these kits from us. The ones that goes to those kids are totally different from this one. You're also able to write a special note to that child, even though you might not be able to share their name. I mean, put their names of the child, because of security purposes. We can't put, because some of them are in hiding, but they're able to get a note from you. They get a sticker inside of it. They also get a pencil with it, and so they're able to see. And they also, one of the things that I love about this activity kit is that when they receive those, there are different hearts that are inside of it that tell them, and it's also tied in with literacy. Describe what word describes you, and then so they're able to shade it and say, I feel strong, I feel powerful, this is how I feel, this is what is going on. Even though they're learning, they're still having fun. And this cause is very dear to me, because I want to make sure that another child feels loved. My thing that happened was Dakari. Alika didn't get it, but Dakari had a teacher. She nagged me, something is going on, something is going on, something is going on. And I'm like, no, nothing is going on. And I finally had to break down. She reared me down. I had to tell her, hey, this is what going. She was able to help me with the car, so the car was able to get back into alignment with it, getting back into where he start getting good grades. And this heart of treasure that you're giving back to these kids, we are giving back to them, would be all about making sure that they know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I might not know you, but I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you. I got your back. You're going to get over this. This too shall pass.
Wow, love it, Stephanie. And that's so true. We don't think about what the kids have gone through,
No.
right? So that's such a powerful way to continue Aliko's legacy by helping other children who may be in, similar situations, and help them have an avenue, escape through creativity, through writing, through drawing, so that they can express their emotions as well. One of the things that I struggle with as an adult with grief was the void. And so imagine children,
Right.
imagine children. who we're not asking how they're feeling, how they're coping. We're not asking their opinions. We shut children down, so much. If they talk to us a certain way, we get agitated. Instead of listening to the message, we listen to the tone. And so this is all good, to help other kids, by keeping, Aliko's legacy going. And so I just want to share with you, though, that Mitzi said, I think that's her name. I want to be sure. Mitzi Holstein. This is what she is sharing with you, that she had moved to Florida to marry someone, and her son was with her. She stayed 3 months. She saw the signs and she got the hell out of Dodge. The difference is she was financially, independent. So she did exactly what your advice was, Stephanie. She got out, that you told them to get out. Paulette is saying that this is powerful stuff, and Blondie is saying that this is interesting, Mama. So, legacy means that we carry someone's life. We continue their life after they've passed, after they leave our organizations, because what we leave legacy in people, right? That's how we leave our impact in people. And so, it is my hope that as a result of this program, uh, novella novella, that other children can get escape and get help. So if you're interested in supporting Stephanie in carrying through with, Aliko's legacy and helping a child in the domestic violence, um, center, please go ahead and click the link that is under this broadcast. Purchase one, and one will be gifted to a child in a domestic abuse center. Stephanie, if they just want the two to go to a domestic abuse center, is that possible as well?
We can. I mean, you'd have to probably send an email to me, and we can because we make theirs is custom based on their needs.
Okay.
So it's custom based on their needs, and yours is a totally different. And also it's also the summer. The This one helps kids who are home for the summer to help, because summer slide is one of the biggest thing here in the U.S. So we try to make sure we keep kids engaged. And it's a very fun activity. So whether you don't have children, it's for kids ages. Sorry, for kids ages 6 or 7 years old. So if you don't have kids, you probably have a niece, you probably have a neighbor, you probably have somebody you can gift it to. It's a connection to creativity is all about serving people and giving back to others. So even if you don't have a family member who's not able to, use it, I'm sure there's somebody in the neighborhood that you can give to make sure that mom or a single mom,
Yeah.
that is who needs it. But those other kids that we give to, we're giving it to the Feet of Clay, which is in Florida. That's where we're giving it to them. And what this is one of the best thing that when we met them and spoke to them is that she said a couple months ago she was dealing with a child, similar story to Aliko, similar story to Aliko. He had to watch this man choke his mama, and then he would go to the child.
Wow.
And she said, when the little boy was like telling her, so she was like, God, I wish I had something to give back to these kids. So I'm here. She's in Florida praying that a couple months ago, and I was like asking God, what do I do with Novella and Novella? And then he's like, you give back to those kids. So I answered her prayer over there. I didn't even realize that somebody was praying that, but I
Yeah.
was answer. So the two children don't even know each other. Lika's not here, but that child over there experienced the same thing, and here I was with the answer. So their kit is a little bit different. Their
Okay.
kit is also to enhance them, to make sure they feel special, to make sure they feel loved and stuff like that. But I'm sure we can tweak. If you want to donate to them, we can send two. We can
Okay.
send two to them and not to, but we already sent some to them already. We started off, even nobody has, we haven't launched it as yet because we launched on the 18th, but we already send it off to them so that those kids can start feeling love and feeling special. And, that's our goal.
Awesome. And so if you're still here in our conversation, just type in chat for us and let us know, um, if you believe that, if you had resources as a child, if you think your life would have been different, if there was a resource that would have helped you at the point of your pain today, do you believe that it would have made a difference in your life? We'd really like to hear your comments about that question. Um, because sometimes it just takes one simple thing to change the trajectory of our lives. And children are so special to me because their voices are always muffled. Not only are their voices muffled, they they just don't get the right type of support and attention, particularly if you are a single mom, you're managing multiple children, you're trying to survive, keep food on the table, keep shelter over their head. Like, honestly, it's just difficult. Let's just be real, it's just difficult at the end of a hard work day, after you've gone through all of that, to now come home and be affirming and nurturing. That takes intention, it takes time, it takes a lot out of a woman who is already going through so much. So we want to make sure that women can be supported. There are thousands, I mean hundreds of thousands of women who have been in domestic relationships with children. I, for one, am one of them. And the traumatic situation of having to push my two kids through the window of a house so that we can escape is something that impacted them. And they had to get counseling so that they could work through that situation as well. So I want to encourage parents to make sure that you are paying attention to how these situations, your relationships, your family relationships, your friendships are also impacting your children and the priority that you're putting on those children as well. So Lisa is saying, thank you so much for sharing your story, Stephanie. You have truly come so far and God is evident in your life. I think it may be Paulette who is saying, yes, if there was a resource growing up, it would have made life easier and a bit more tolerable. I see Minister Kevin. Someone is tagging Minister Kevin, LA. I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, that's Mitzi doing that tag. All right. So guys, we would like to appeal to you to go ahead, click the link and to support Novel and Novella and make sure that we can get some of these kits
Yeah,
into those domestic abuse shelters in Florida.
it's a
Stephanie, you want
boga deal. It's a
to, yeah,
buy one, give one.
buy one, give
Give
one.
one.
So, Stephanie, as we close our interview today, are there any final words that you'd like to share with our viewing audience?
I just want to say thank you to all those strong women who have been there for me. Um, I know some of you guys had to hold my hair while I cry. Some of you had to be on the phone with me through it all. But I just want to say thank you to, and to my family too. They have been a great support for me. And my armor bearer, who is my son, Dakari, who cries with, who comes with my tissue and help me and give me my water. And also, I want to say to women who are in any situation at all, whether it's verbal, financial, sexual, whatever it is, abusive relationship, get out, get help. And also, one of the things that the question mentioned was counseling. It's also taboo for, especially in our community, not to get counseling. Counseling is needed through it because you in your mind can just you can get yourself out of the way you're thinking. So get counseling, get help, and get out. And you don't listen. And also too, a lot of us thinking that we need to have a certain amount of money, we have to go to a certain the place has to be safe, the place. Listen, if it's a shack, get out and go into that shack. If it's a shelter, get out. There is no judgment in getting help. There is nobody's looking at you like, oh my God, you went from this high place to this low place. No, all they're gonna say, thank God you made it out. And I love you guys. I might not know, some of you might not know, but I just want to say I love and I appreciate all of you. Thank you so very much.
Awesome. Blondie is saying she remember every moment of it and she couldn't help you. And we have Janet saying, God bless you, Stephanie. You are an inspiration. Stephanie, you
That's
are
my
an.
best friend.
Hey, bestie, Janet. Stephanie, I just want you to know that you are an inspiration. I know that this is the very first time that you're sharing your story so transparent. It was a little ginger
Yes.
and tender with you
I
today.
try not to cry. I held it together. I held it
Yes,
together.
you did a great job. Sharice is saying that she loves you and that you are
Love you to
amazing.
Shanice.
Stephanie, thank you for sharing your story on the Safe Space Conversations here at the Evolving Woman or on the Evolving Woman platform, where we desire to help women through every season, transition through every season of their lives. I just pray God's richest blessings on you. I speak over your life, Stephanie, that your testimony, the work that you're doing with children in domestic violence shelters, the work that you're doing, bringing reading to life with children, will have a long lasting impact on their lives and would help them to break some of the generational curses that they are experiencing. I want
Yes.
you to always remember that whatever you do, do it unto the Lord in excellence. Even if you touch one person, you
Yes.
make a difference in that one person, and we never know
Yep.
how that one person will change the world. So don't be concerned about the numbers. Don't be concerned about the responses. Don't be concerned if your expectations aren't met. At the end of the day, know that God's purpose will be fulfilled for you and that there's nothing too hard for God. Last night, as I wrap it up, I remember sharing the story of Sarah, how God promised Sarah that she would have a baby. And at 90 years old, he came back with this promise. And between
Wow.
the time that he initially gave the promise and when Sarah conceived, Sarah did things her way.
Wow.
She actually gave her handmaid to her husband so that her husband could have a child with the handmaid, which created all sorts of issues in their home. And when God came and said that Sarah would bear, Sarah laughed because she was well in age at that particular time. But I want you to know that time is nothing for God. We recognize time. The time is nothing for God. And that there is nothing God can do. If God could make a 99-year-old woman give birth, He can make way for you to impact children and change the world. Stay true to the process
Yes, ma'am.
and follow Him so that He can guide you to the
Yes.
place that He has destined for you.
Yes,
God
ma'am.
bless you all. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Cherise,
you.
for being here. Thank you so much, Blondie,
Thank
for
you.
being here. And she said, you don't know us, Blondie, but it's Gail. Good night.
Thank
Good night. Thank you for tuning in to
you.
Safe Space
Bye, guys.
tonight. Take
Good
care.
night.